Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there is no need to fear. You know what I'm saying? Your friendly neighborhood light skin is here. And in today's video, we are reacting to the truth about YNs and black dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? Sounds like a very interesting title. Got some interesting characters on the screen. So with that being said, let's go ahead and see what the video is talking about.
See, I got a homie that's a billionaire, and I be trying to explain it to him like, if your mom ain't on crack or if she got a job and she doing 8 hours a day, and your daddy in the graveyard in the jail cell, who the fuck gonna babysit?
Now, first and foremost, this is not one of those black fatigue videos. So if you clicked on this video thinking I'm about to stroke your racist ego, wrong video, pal. See, one thing about me, man, I'm always gonna give the black perspective. Most times, a lot of these media outlets just run with the same narrative that comes from people that aren't even in these situations. And this is why we need more black media outlets, okay? Now, today we're gonna be talking about YNs. Just think of someone like King Von or any other hood dude. That is what a YN stands for. I wanna bring up that I also do not support degeneracy. I do feel like in order for us to reach our full potential, we gotta have a set of moral codes that is the standard and everyone should follow. But before we even get to that point, we gotta address why things are so up.
They call it the projects. They put us in projects.
So I recently copped a new book, The Color of Law. This is a book that goes deep into topics like redlining and also just other racist tactics that have been used and are still being used today. Something that I found interesting though in this book was public housing, or what we know today as the projects, originally was not intended for black people. It was for working and lower middle class white folks. Now fast forward to today and the demographic of the public housing looks entirely different. Now this wasn't by accident, it was by design. See, with things such as the urban renewal and redlining, most white families ended up moving to the suburbs and the black folks went to public housing.
A boy last week who was 16 in San Francisco told me on television, thank God we got him to talk, maybe somebody will start to listen. He said, I got no country, I've got no flag. Now he's only 16 years old. And I couldn't say you do. I don't have any evidence to prove that he does. They were tearing down his house because San Francisco is engaging, as most northern cities now are engaged, in something called urban renewal, which means moving Negroes out. It means Negro removal. That is what it means.
So, the projects. It's in the name. The project. Just imagine you stick a bunch of poor people in overcrowded areas with the little to no jobs in the area, horrible food choices, with drugs and guns everywhere. What do you think is going to happen? And this is where we get into the whole black on black crime thing. It's not real, by the way.
Well, let's look at the stats. Black people commit about 6,000 murders a year. 98% of it is against other black people. That's 6,000 murderers. There's 40 million black people that live in America. The overwhelming majority of black people are not murdering anybody. The chance of you get struck by lightning is probably more than getting murdered by a black man. It's concentrated areas of poverty and violence. When I was a police officer, I noticed that white crime and poverty go together like black crime and poverty. The only difference is gang-related violence, which make black people go up another notch. Right. But when you talk about abandoning children, meaning fatherless homes, when you talk about people using violence, killing each other, stabbing each other, robbing, stealing, white people had the same rate of some of this stuff as when I grew up. White neighborhoods.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this stuff is not even on some what's the word I'm looking for? It's not even as if this is a black. I feel like it's more so you see more black people talking about the projects and running up the hood, etc., etc. But I feel like a lot of stuff is just a poor people, you know. But it's just put out there that black people are the most. Well, black people are always really talking about it. You know, you don't really see too many white people talk about poor, etc. In my opinion, at least, which I feel like is what ultimately contributes to this type of behavior.
Still places you don't want to live. The poor, impoverished white neighborhoods. People that don't understand that because they never actually patrolled and lived anywhere other than some little small area where they only had negative experiences with black people. They really don't understand the totality of what we're really looking at here.
That was a statement from one of the biggest black conservatives on the internet, Officer Tatum. He said that out of his mouth. What are we talking about? Now, I want to piggyback off one of his talking points where he said, the majority of black people aren't murdering people. Yes, most people living in the hood or the projects aren't doing any crimes. But what tends to happen is you get infected by your environment. If you're waking up every day seeing the same thing over and over, it might just rub off on you. It's the same way when we see a lot of these black kids that live in the suburbs. You'll literally hear people tease.
Yeah, and be like, yeah, you act very, very, very white when the whole time it's just kind of just what they're accustomed to. You know the saying that you're a product of your environment. You know what I'm saying? You throw a black kid around a bunch of white people, he may not if you throw 10 black kids around white people, 7 or 8 of them are very much so going to pick up the lingo, pick up the culture, etc., etc. Now you throw that same white kid with 10 black people, same thing, yeah, product of your environment.
Them because they're talking white, but everyone is just a product of their environment. Now let's go back to around the 60s and the 70s. The projects, they weren't really that bad, and this was because we had groups around such as the Black Panthers and other prominent black leaders within the community. Now let's bring up Richard Nixon. And I know Ronald Reagan gets a lot of hate, but Richard Nixon should get the same amount. Now I say this all the time, but black unity has always been a threat. I'm going to read you words verbatim from his aide. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies: the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and the blacks with heroin, they criminalized them both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders.
I've never heard anything about black people using heroin. That's news to me. If anything, I feel like black people is more so like a weed thing, and white people are more so like heroin and that type of stuff.
Their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did.
Damn.
Just gotta let that sink in right fast.
Young niggas brainwashed, they just wanna rap and hoop. Could've been a lawyer until they came and shackled you.
One thing I love about, a lot of us that are living in Black America, we go through a lot of the same things, no matter the area. I'm from South Carolina, man, and just growing up, everybody literally thought the only way out was by playing basketball, football, or rapping. And ball has always been life, man. That's all we did in the neighborhood, bro, play football and play basketball. But I do wish a lot of us would have dabbled into other things.
Yeah, because I'm not even gonna because like he's right, that is very much so like the narrative. It's like, okay, cool, if you want to be successful as a black person, you gotta be a rapper. Because at a lot of times, the only like positions, for example, I have a homie who's a lawyer, or he's in school to become a lawyer, right? At the time, when I was coming up, I never was like, I want to be a lawyer, because in my mind, all I saw was nothing but white people be lawyers, and in my mind, those are lame, and it wasn't seen as cool, quote unquote, to be a lawyer, But now my homie's in school, and he's being a lawyer. He's opening my eyes up a lot to realize, like, bro, like, money is money. It spends the exact same way, whether you're hooping, you're rapping, or you're a lawyer, bro. You don't have to be those type of professions to quote unquote make it. It made me realize, like, yeah, bro, if I only knew, like, if I only had people around me when I was young to inform me of these type of things, to let me know, like, hey, there's other ways out that you can do. You don't have to pick up a ball. You don't have to rap. You can be a lawyer. You can be a doctor. You can be this. You can be that, and just made it seem cool. I feel like it would help forward black people a lot more.
Are very smart. They could have been a lawyer, they could have been a doctor, they could have been, anything big. But instead, they put all their eggs into sports. And I don't want to crush anybody's dreams, but let's be realistic, bro. You're under 6 foot. You not really doing too good in high school basketball. I don't think you're going to the NBA. Let's look at other options. But let's say you grew up doing other activities. You was in robotics, you was in STEM programs, you were in reading clubs, chess clubs. You in these clubs at a young age are already opening doors and giving you a higher chance of success than the sports. Now, don't get me wrong, playing sports does have its positive. It keeps you out of trouble, you're getting physically active, and it's building community. You're having fun with your friends. But what we really have to start doing is telling the youth that this isn't guaranteed. And some of them may perceive this as hating, but you're just being honest. Most likely, you're not going to make it to any of these big leagues. Now, this is where we have to study the failed athlete to street dude pipeline.
Yes.
Go on Facebook right now and look up some of the most notable athletes you went to high school with. They might be on the block right now. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, they only had one plan in mind: get to the NBA, get to the NFL. And once their biggest dream and their main goal failed, they had nothing to fall back on and went to the only thing that they grew up knowing: the streets. Now let's shift our focus to the rappers and young kids wanting to be like them. I feel like we need to make a distinction between rap and drill rap, because it is entirely different. Rap, even though a lot of them talk about the streets, it's storytelling, or things that they came came from. While on the other hand, drill is like low-key on some straight up, we just killing each other and we gonna talk about it. But my thing is, man, a lot of these young kids, they're looking up to these rappers, drill rappers in particular. And you know, as a young person looking at these dudes, you may be easily influenced by them. But the crazy thing,
yeah, because they make it seem like it's cool as hell. Like they just make it seem like it's just, yeah, we spun on the opposite and we hit that hose and you know, so they going crazy, you know, like it just make it seem like it's cool versus like the white people. It doesn't make it seem cool. And again, to piggyback on the point Antonio made about people falling back to the streets because that's all they know due to the environment. I feel like this white people the same thing. They might, the difference is with white people is what they know. Their parents are accountants, finance managers, real estate agents, lawyers, doctors. You know, these bigger careers. So when they don't make it to sports, okay, cool, I'm gonna just go do XYZ versus black people growing up in the projects, nobody's really doing anything with their life. So if you want to get some money, quote unquote, be successful, it's portrayed, okay, cool, you gotta get on the block and sell some work, you know? But nowadays with content creation and creators telling and informing people, like me when I was a child, I had one, well, my grandpa was pretty successful, but then my dad went to prison a lot. But I had my auntie's boyfriend at the time, he worked at a cell phone company, and he lived a pretty good life. And when I realized I wasn't making it to hoops, I was like, well, damn, okay, what am I gonna do to get some money? And he kind of put me on the job and was like, yo, okay, cool, there's other ways to get money out here besides, again, spitting some raps or picking up a ball.
is, y'all, most of these rappers aren't even living that lifestyle.
Oh, that's the insane part. Yeah, like, yeah, it's crazy how, like, we joke a lot about the CIA or whatever, and I thought about it. Kind of, it's funny too, the fact of how the courtesan trend was going viral, and as this trend was going viral, Pooh Shiesty gets released out of jail, and makes a song talking about, you know, killing the ops and all this all this and that. It's just like, okay, cool. Like what he said about the one president, how it's not a good look, how they're trying to portray black people in a bad light. And so when this trend of no, black people can be, you know, law abiding, contributing citizens. Actually, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day.
We're gonna die! Run, nigga! Where's your gun?
Y'all niggas is involved now.
How you gonna drop the gun, Gangstalicious? That is not gangster. That's very not.
Fun fact, I want to show y'all something. I was on Boondocks 2 as a kid, heavy, and I spoke with Boondocks so much, bro. I have a wooden cutout of Huey. Because in my mind as a kid, this was the realest. Some people grew up watching The Simpsons. Some people grew up watching American Dad. Some people grew up watching Family Guy. No, nigga, it was Boondocks for me. Mostly because, you know, they were black or whatever. Yeah, Huey, that's a real nigga right there, man. Got mad love. That's a real nigga, bro.
Gangster. Man, I can't believe this. You a fraud.
Oh, I'm a fraud. You scared too?
I'm 8.
Okay, fine, whatever. I'm a fraud. I'm just an average, normal dude. I don't want to do this stupid shit no more. I'm tired of getting shot. Help.
It's like going to heaven and finding God smoking crack.
So it's crazy because they're talking about doing all this crazy stuff in the streets, shooting this person, doing this and that.
Whole time you pussy as hell. Like, you're influencing these other people to go do all these crimes, these heinous activities, etc., getting themselves locked up and trying to look cool when the person that influenced them doesn't even live like that. Is that not crazy? Is that not crazy? The person that influenced me to go do this drill, to go rob this person, to go spin on my ops, go up the score, isn't even living like that. Crazy how that works, right? Yeah.
another black man, by the way, that ends up influencing you to do it. Now you in jail. Whole time they wasn't even doing it for real. They were just talking about it for the money. And we see how that influences, you know, the hood so much. Now, I also don't want to put the entire blame on rappers, because even rappers, you know, a lot of the things they talk about, money, fast cars, houses, yachts, they're literally just rapping about what America already perpetrates: capitalism and having a lot of money.
You wanna start a fundraiser with no cause? Cause, nigga. I'm the cause. Cause I want a house. Cause I want a yacht. Cause I wanna get this guap.
What, nigga?
Cause.
Now let's bring up Richard Nixon again, because this was literally his plan. Richard Nixon viewed an uncontrolled black power movement as a major threat to the internal security of the United States during the late 1960s and early 1970s. To address the situation, Nixon developed his Black Capitalism Initiative. The Nixon presidency offered African Americans the notion of black capitalism as an incentive to move away from the notion of burn, baby, burn. See, Nixon was so smart. He wanted to break up the community aspect and push for individualism and for own self's gain. Nixon has succeeded. This is why we have Jay-Z's and no more Fred Hamptons, Malcolm X's, man. He won.
They told us if we go to jail, we would be respected. They told us if we make a sale, we would run a check-in.
Now let's talk about a lot of the
Crazy. In those words, if we go to jail, you'll be respected. I was never the type of black person that was with the narrative of yeah, going to jail or whatever. But bro, you hard because you in jail, and now I gotta deal with all these men. They want to stab me on the daily for what? For some randoms to respect me? No, it was never that serious. For me, it was never that serious. It was never ever that serious. I don't care about no humans respecting enough to go to jail. No.
OGs within the black community. The 30-40-year-olds that still gang banging, still trying to sell drugs, all this other nonsense. Although they were once those young kids that we talked about in the beginning, they never got their act together, which is the whole plan at the end of the day. These dudes are further, you know, instilling the nonsense and the ignorant behavior that the youth is doing in the community. They're the ones telling you, you know, don't snitch, stick to the street code. Oh, sell these drugs. Oh, do this to this person. So I want to bring up the movie Who Cloned Tyrone, man. Amazing film, by the way, and I want to do a full breakdown, maybe on another channel or something like that. Let me know if you want to see it. But in that movie, it shows how certain people are needed for the dysfunction in the black community to continue. So there were two mainly, the pimp and the gang member. Anytime they got killed, they were cloned and put back into the community to keep up further destruction. Think about if a lot of these younger kids had better role models. There are countless alternatives that these kids just don't even know about.
Exactly. Again, bringing back my homie as the example, bro. Had I known, and if somebody had made, I feel like the thing was with black people, there needs to be somebody that comes in and makes these things cool, makes it cool to be a lawyer, makes it cool, because you're still getting money at the end of the day. You can still drive a fast car without having to be on a block selling work. You don't have to do that to be successful, bro. But in black culture, if you're not doing these things, you're lame. You're goofy. Just like how people all the time be talking about some 9 to 5 or a scammer. I gotta be with a scammer. I can't be with them when I'm 9 to 5. Again, that's just the CIA pushing that narrative, bro.
You can get your first gun at 6 years old, for sure.
How does a 6-year-old get a gun in Baltimore?
I mean, it's easy. It's super easy. Probably by your brother.
I came into his life 2 years ago, going on 3. He was a little menace around here. There's not a gun you can ask him about you don't know about. Always carry guns, right? One day, you tell him what happened.
I seen him walking up the street with all these brothers for real. They was talking to me. They had gave me a lot of money and stuff. I went home, busted down my people for real. He had told me to come back later on to come see him for real. Boom. I came back later on that day, had a gun on me. All the older dudes, they was showing me all the bad stuff, showing me the wrong routes. He was like, you know you risking like what's going on. He said like, you gotta take it off of you. I wasn't taking it off me. I goes back, I tried going to alley somewhere and tuck it some more, thinking I was slick. I come back, he checked me again, he still found it for real. He hollered at me, he like, you still bring it back for real. Took me to the water, I had to throw my gun for real. I ain't want to do it. I told him I wasn't doing it at first. They had hold me, he like, I got you, like I'm riding behind you, like once you throw this gun, I'm with you all the way. Like you gotta let it go. So I let it go, and now we here. And now this my gun, you heard me. This my switch. When I had a flash on there, definitely gonna blind you. Like I'm telling you, like.
Now let's bring up solutions to these problems. And you know, I get this talk about, oh bro, all you do is talk about the bad, you never provide any solutions. I always provide solutions. Y'all just don't watch the whole video. But let's take, for example, Baltimore. The crime in Baltimore has always been bad. But as of recently, things have changed. First and foremost, shout out to Baltimore's mayor. This is the smoothest brother I done seen in a minute. The afro, the lineup.
That boy got to clean that afro on him. Okay. You know what I'm saying? He probably not getting no huzz, but I mean, shit. It clean though. I had a fro back in high school, you know what I'm saying? Before I switched to the curly hair. And I know y'all can't see the hair because I got it in braids right now, etc. But it's because it's cold, bro. There's no need to have my hair out. But, you know, you get the point.
On point. Now, as y'all can see, as of November 3rd, 2025, homicides and non-fatal shootings are down this year compared to 2024. 31% of homicides and non-fatal shootings are at 22%. Now, the way he did this wasn't by over-policing and pushing more officers into these neighborhoods. No, he got to the root causes of the problem.
Brandon Scott introduced Baltimore's first ever comprehensive violence prevention plan, and it's working. Instead of just policing, they shifted to community-based intervention, trauma-informed support, and data-driven enforcement. They funded community programs that help mediate violence on the streets. So organizations and things like that that step in and they try to, you know, provide mediation for people who may be at high risk or who may lack therapy and things of that sort. They gave them money to be able to do their job better. In Brooklyn neighborhood, a specific neighborhood where the homicide rate was insane in 2023, they went an entire year without a single homicide. Then they decided to target the groups at the highest risks. They gave them job training, housing options, and counseling, which resulted in a reduction of 31 to 39% of homicides in the pilot zones. They also seized 2,900 guns in 2023, including a bunch of ghost guns. Then he sued the ghost gun company Polymer and used that funding to put back into the city after the settlement was finished. So it's crazy that given the high risk, something to do, as well as help and assistance and holding them accountable, reduces their likelihood to commit crimes. Funding community-based programs reduces the likelihood of the community members to commit crimes. Collaborations between city, state, federal agencies, local nonprofits, and other organizations led to a reduction in crimes. And the data shows that in 6 high-risk neighborhoods, not a single homicide was recorded in 2024. So by fusing targeted law enforcement, community-led intervention, social services, and nonprofit organizations, Baltimore is seeing historic lows in its crime rate, a city known to be an avoidable city because of their crime rate. It just feels really replicable. And I just don't see a lot of cities replicating it.
Now, the final section of this video is just going to be some positivity. I want to show y'all the side of the projects in the hood that they don't show, because it's not all bad.
Free food, free gift. We need a harder over east with it. We just shut down Stony Island with it. We giving back. Ain't no young niggas, we young brothers. Right. It's a black community, y'all know that. It's a black unity. Oh yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with being a young brother, man. It's a lot of the oldest ain't got them the right way, man. That's the real problem. Well, we got them right now, but we got brothers right now. Right here on this block, but we all out here in peace and love and giving. You hear me? Big unity. Big unity. Big unity. Man, we really show that shit. What you mean? We out here. You say what? You see what happened when we come together? Man, you can't mess with us. They try to divide us though. It's gonna take a lot. We just shut down Stony with the trucks and everything. It's gonna take a lot to take us down. We shutting down Stony, man. Shut down. Man, we out here with the youth, the people who they say cause the problems, the people who they say increasing the violence. We out here giving back. They don't show this though. Mr. Ski Mask, what you gotta say? Y'all know I feel good to be doing this. Even at a young age,
CIA is fuming at the side of this, man. CIA hates to see this.
You say you 16 doing this? 16 doing it. They can't say you're not doing it. We need to support our community, man. Support our kids, man. Put more into our kids. Right, you know how we put more into our kids? By putting more into ourselves. Yeah, this is exactly. And when you giving to somebody, you giving to yourself. Because it's a blessing from God to be able to do the giving. Yeah.
That's it for this video though, man. I hope y'all enjoyed. I will always look at.
That being said, we can go wrap up this video, you know what I'm saying? Y'all boys stay safe out there. Yeah. With that being said, we're gonna get up out of here. Peace.